Okay, let's run.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks! What are you?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote, the weekly show where we introduce you to creators of all shapes and sizes that join us from many and all corners of the universe. We find out more about them by taking your questions. I am your host, Ryan of And I Quote channel, and our guest on this episode is someone who's back for a sequel. Seems like a few people around the universe want sequels to their past episodes of And I Quote appearances. So please welcome comic book inker and writer from Make My SilverLine Comics. Yeah, Barb Kaalberg is back. Hello, Barb. How are you? And you're welcome for that Roland Man impression.
I was just going to say, you did a great Roland Man there, and I'm going to have to make sure he sees this. So.
Please do. And we love you, Roland. We wish you all the best, and you and the family and the crew over there at SilverLine Comics. Feel free to visit them online at silverlinecomics.com. By the way, those links are located in the description of this video, so make sure you go ahead and do so. With that out of the way, if you have any questions for Barb Kaalberg as we go throughout the course of this particular episode of And I Quote, don't hesitate to put them in the chat or the comments. More than happy to take those as they come in. And if you're joining us live or what is known as a replay, we thank you so much for being with us. In the meantime, Barb, before we talk about your project that's going on and this campaign that's proceeding, as it were, how are things going for you? Everything cool? For instance, how are you and the SilverLine Comics family doing overall?
We are doing fantastic. We've been at this for about 5 or 6 years now, and we are finally at the beginning of this year. SilverLine is in Diamond catalog, so make sure that you request SilverLine Comics at your local retailers, and you can get all of our books. So in that aspect, we are just absolutely thrilled, and we still continue to put out a lot of different books in a lot of different genres. We don't pigeonhole our books into any one specific genre because we want to have something for everyone. So we've got children's books, we've got horror, we've got suspense, we've got action and superheroes and sci-fi and a little bit of World War II action. And so we've got a little something for everyone.
So basically, SilverLine Comics can consider themselves to be the Baskin Robbins of the internet. We got 31 flavors for everybody. Is that true?
Yeah, that's a good analogy, actually.
You're welcome. Maybe we should add that to one of your SilverLine shirts, Roland. Call me maybe, and then you and I can discuss that because I got ideas for you, man. You know, we're all in this together, right? A rising tide can lift all ships if we work together as a team. So, you know,
that's right.
If Roland wants to cross the streams, even though Egon continuously tells me not to cross the streams between And I Quote and SilverLine, but I think we can do it. It's worked before. We've done it. You know, we've worked alongside Barb Kaalberg. We've had Roland Man on here.
Strap on that proton pack.
We should, and it's funny you say that because the film that we're referencing, such as Ghostbusters, it just turned 40 a couple of weeks ago. It's insane.
Oh my God! Don't make me feel like my
I'm
age.
sorry.
Holy cow!
I'm sorry, but it came out in 1984 AD. It's the truth.
I know. It's terrible.
Well,
it's terrible. We were just discussing as we came on here that Star Wars came out my senior year in high school, 1977.
That was in 77. And if my calculations are correct, in 3 years that movie turns 50.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Yeah.
So now you can calculate my age.
It's okay. None of us look a day over 25. The good news is, for those of you who are fans of the little properties known as Star Wars or Ghostbusters, you can check out those movie watch-alongs that we do on the Movie Nerds playlist of And I Quote channel, which is on our YouTube pages and Facebook pages respectively. And also, for those of you wondering, are you going to do any watch-alongs concerning Star Wars next year, considering some of the films turn a certain age? Yes. We're going to do a 45th anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back. I know, Barb. I know. 45 years. And also, it's okay. It's fine. And then the other one we're going to be doing is The Force Awakens turns 10 next year. So you get some of the newer generations of fans and some of the the beginning, the OGs, if you will.
Yeah, yes. It's generational. I'm one of the OGs, but when my son turned 5, I introduced him to the Star Wars universe, and he became a rabid fan, and it became a mom and son thing to go through, watch all the original movies, and then as each new one came out, we would see it in the theater. And one of the last ones we saw, he was stationed in Afghanistan, but he was due to come home right in the middle of the theatrical run. And so I waited, and he purchased tickets while he was still over there. And when we got home, then we went to see a Star Wars movie in the theater.
That's beautiful. That's great. I mean, passing the torch on to the next generation of fans, that's the best thing we can do. For those of you who are parents, it's the best thing you can do. It's called good parenting. There's a book called Parenting 101. Thou shalt introduce sons and daughters to Star Wars.
That's right. And now he's got a 5-year-old, so it's time to do the third generation of Star Wars fans.
Do the next one is what you're saying. Yes, yes. I would wholeheartedly agree. By the way, Yasi is in the chat. She says, I'm so glad to be here for this episode. Well, we're glad that you're here with us too, Yasi. It's good to see you. She's a massive Star Wars fan and a massive fan of Anti-Quote Channel programming in general. So Yasi, good to see you. She does have a question, if you don't mind, Barb. She says, is it possible you can talk about the horror comics that are coming out at SilverLine a bit more?
There's one called Twilight Grim.
Mm-hmm.
It's about vampires, and it's a concept where in the future where there's walled cities, and all the rich and good, so-called good people get to live in the sanctity and the safety of a walled city. And if you're a criminal or you're just the unwanted in society, you're tossed over the wall, and you have to live in the cities that are filled with vampires and stuff. Now you can still survive out there, but you gotta know what you're doing. So the vampires haunt the undesirables outside the walls. That's Twilight Grim. And we have another one called Sirens, which I colored, is about New Orleans and a loup-garou in New Orleans. You get a curse on you, so it's got zombies and voodoo creatures in it that are trying to suck the life force from various people and turn them into zombies. So those are the two that come to mind immediately.
Well, that's just great. You know why? Because Yasi says, futuristic vampire? I'm sold.
Good. Well, that's a good thing then, because during this crowdfunder that I've got going right now, you can buy any of the SilverLine books during the crowdfunder. Back issues of my books or anybody else's from SilverLine. You can buy them during the crowdfunder. So that's a good thing.
Oh my goodness gracious, that certainly is. So Yasi, I think with those questions and answers being presented to you, I think we just made your day, which is probably making you think this.
Yes! Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on! Ah! Yes! Yes!
A little Breaking Bad there.
Well, I'm sorry. I think I'm just sort of. I know I shouldn't, but I think Yasi's just going crazy. Like, yes, like she's just excited. That's all. That's our way of expressing excitement for certain things or items that have been announced on shows. And then she also gave us a thumbs up to that clip, and then she's also given us a smiling emoji. Isn't that swell?
That is awesome. Thank you, Yasi.
That's great. There you go. Links are in the description, Yasi. So make sure you go and visit those links when you get a chance. With that being said. Outside of you talking about the SilverLine crew, have you been to any Comic Cons recently? And if so, what has been your experience like tabling at these events?
I have stopped doing the major shows because they've gotten so overwhelming, and they have changed their focus more to media than comics. So while I used to do San Diego Comic-Con every year faithfully, I stopped doing that in the early 2000s, and I've only been back a couple of times. Once in 2014, and then again a few years later for the 25th anniversary of Malibu Comics. They wanted me to come out and do some panels and stuff. So that's the last time I've been to San Diego Comic-Con. But it's just too expensive. I mean, a bottle of water there's like $5, you know, a banana's $3. It's terrible, and the hotels are even worse. It's a lottery system now. Back in the old days, you could just call the hotel itself, make your reservations, jump on a plane, go out. And that's not the way it is anymore. You have to put in your preferences for hotels, and then they do a lottery system, and you get one of those choices. C2E2, I could probably table there, but again, it's gotten so big in New York. I would like to do the Heroes con, though, however. Mostly I stick to local shows in the surrounding states around me. Around 4 hours is my top drive time. I do eastern and central Iowa, southern Michigan, all of Wisconsin, and northern Illinois. I'll stick to shows doing that. And I prefer being the big fish in a small pond. It brings more people to my table.
That's fair. That's completely fair. And you mentioned some shows in and around certain areas and states. Just out of curiosity, I know I may or may not have asked this question before, but just for argument's sake, for those of you, just joining us for the first time and meeting Barb Kaalberg for the first time, even she's been on this show before, known as And I Quote. You can always go back into our playlist and check out the previous appearance there. And Yasi, we are going to get to your question here in a moment, I promise. Have you or your family or friends visited the immortal Field of Dreams in the great state of Iowa?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, yes. We
Do you
have
ever
to
see
drive.
ball players walking out of the cornfields?
Not yet, but I have been there 2 or 3 times, and
Mhm.
we have to drive past it every time we go back to see relatives in
Mhm.
Iowa, because we go through Dubuque and have to drive by the Field of Dreams all the time. And I have some wonderful pictures there. They're starting to commercialize it more, which I'm so sad to see. So they've built another stadium next to it so that they could do professional games, and there's more buildings. And pretty soon, before you know it, it's going to be like the Wisconsin Dells or Pigeon Forge, and it's going to be super commercialized.
Okay, all right. I do hope to visit the immortal Field of Dreams, because Field of Dreams is in my top 10 of all time.
Yes.
So
Yes,
I want to see the field. I want to go out there. I want to see if I can hear the voices. I want to hear if I can, I want to see if the players will come out of the cornfield. Maybe even the spirit of my dad will come out of the cornfield, and he and I can have a catch.
There you go.
I know, right? That would be, to me personally, that would be fab. For those of you who have lost a loved one, you know what I'm saying. But it would be great if I could see the spirit of my, just not to get, on a soapbox or sentimental here, but if I saw him coming out of the cornfields and say, "Hey, son, you want to have a catch?" I'd like that. Just drop the lines on him. I'd be like, "Oh my God." Like, it'd be great. It'd be a lot of fun. But that's great. I'm glad you've had a chance to see it and visit it at times. And this is on my bucket list, ladies and gentlemen, to visit the immortal Field of Dreams in what's the specific town it's in again?
It's in
Begins with the letter D, if I'm not mistaken.
Dyersville.
Dyersville, that's it. I knew it started with the letter D.
Iowa. I had to think for a minute because it's also the home of Ertl Toys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was not aware of this.
Yeah. Well, I'm an Iowan, so I'm originally an Iowan. I've been in Wisconsin since '84, but '86. Wow. But I was born and raised in Iowa, around a cornfield. Yeah.
Really?
On a farm.
Wow.
So coming out of the cornfield probably wouldn't disturb me at all.
No. And a little voice telling you, if you build it, it will come. Sorry. Oh my gosh, I love that movie for days. That's just my 2 cents. But thank you for sharing that with us. And once again, this is, and I quote indeed, with Barb Kaalberg of Divinity, her latest, or her comic that currently has a crowdfunding campaign we're going to be talking about here momentarily on this episode of And I Quote. Do not forget to like and share this with every single person that you could possibly know. And if you're joining us live on a replay, we thank you for being with us. If you have any questions for Barb, let us know in those comments or the chat. Now, Yasi has a few questions here, so let's try to take these one thing at a time so we don't overwhelm each other.
Okay.
Yasi says, what is your favorite comic in the SilverLine catalog thus far?
Well, obviously, Divinity, my own book, is my baby, my pride and joy. Mm-hmm. It was voted the best new independent comic of 2020 with issue number 1.
That's awesome.
This is issue number 4 that's coming out now.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely personal to me because the whole idea of the book, the little girl who can heal, she's the only one in the entire Divinity universe that's got superpowers, basically. It came about completely formed in a dream after my brother was diagnosed with cancer. So it's very personal to me. I suppose somebody's going to be mowing now, right outside my window. And it's in more ways than one. People that have been involved with it have found some meaning in it. During the course of penciling issue number 4, the one that's currently a crowdfunding, I had hired Tim and Pat Kennedy of Archie Comics fame. I'd hired them to be my pencilers, and halfway through doing Divinity, Tim passed away from cancer as well. So this issue is dedicated to him. And it just seems like it becomes an irony to a lot of people that buy this book. It's about, I mean, it's about the desire to heal your loved ones and what you would do. I found out I have a horrible moral failing of my own. When I first came up with the idea of this book, I realized that if I had the opportunity, I wouldn't have any morals at all, no compunction at all, trying to find ways to heal my brother. I would do what was necessary.
Absolutely. Yeah, and let's be perfectly honest. Cancer sucks. All right.
Yeah.
So worst feeling in the world. True story. A few months ago, my own mother passed away due to cancer. It sucks. It's horrible. It's no fun whenever someone gets diagnosed, and they call it the C word. It's not something you want to hear, but the best thing you can do is put one foot in front of the other and be there for your loved ones or your friends, whoever it may be, whether it's a family member or a friend of yours. Please be there for them as much as you can. But so no bias here, because her favorite comic of all time in SilverLine is Divinity. Yasi, you're welcome. And she also goes on to say, I love the fact that Barb is so against commercializing everything.
Oh, yes, I am. There's so many places that I saw. I'm going to date myself here. I'm 65, and I've been to a lot of different places around the country, and places like Wall Drug and Wisconsin Dells, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, even San Diego Comic-Con. Started out when I first started going out, there was 40,000 people at the Civic Hall. And everything's just gotten so, people jump on something and they just take it to the nth degree, and it doesn't become fun anymore. It becomes like you lose some of the ambiance, that what made it special in the first place.
No, I would agree with that. I mean, I've been going to Comic-Cons for 12 years, not nearly as long as our dear friend and colleague known as Barb here, because, age range, fellas. But
Yes.
outside, but it's okay, it's fine. None of us look a day over 25, #facts. But at the Comic-Cons that I've gone to, I have noticed that they're focusing a lot more. And listen, I'm guilty of this too, because I've done it myself. I mostly go to the conventions 99% of the time. I go to meet certain celebs that I've waited years and years and years to meet and all that jazz. But that doesn't dissuade me from going to Artists Alley and Creators Alley and seeing some people, some of whom become very good friends of mine, by the way.
Close the window. Hang on.
Oh, that's fine. Take your time. It's all right. I'll do an E True Hollywood story of this. So yeah, I've noticed that things have been, they're focusing a lot more on celebrities and interactions with them. And look, I get it. It's a business, right? You got to make your money.
That's right.
But at the same time, like, I always make sure to visit Artists Alley and visit with indie comic book writers and artists, all the people who work on these books and whatever the case may be, because one of the best things about doing this show and many other YouTubers or podcasters out there, with all due respect, is meeting and, finding out what they're so passionate about, these indie writers and publishers, why they're so passionate about the things that they do, right? So I've interviewed so many different writers, so many different publishers, people who have worked in and out of the comic book industry for years, decades, whatever. And I love meeting those people because they're some of the most creative individuals I've ever met in my life. So if you ever get a chance to go to a convention, whoever's watching and listening to this, please do. But make sure you visit Artists Alley and then visit some of the comic book writers and creators that are there too, because they'll have like certain banners that are up, like this, like the vertical kind.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then they'll have QR codes on their banners or their business cards. Please take pictures or like scan those QR codes so you can follow them on social media, please.
Yeah, all my business cards on my tables, when I table, have a QR code.
Yes, very important. So
make sure everything else.
See, there you go, because we live in the age of the interwebs. So that's please. Right. Follow everybody, okay? Just, show support, lift each other up, not tear each other down, honestly, because this is a team effort here. By the way, Yasi mentioned earlier, Ryan, I'm sorry, I didn't know about this. I'm so sorry. No, listen, my mother's free from pain. She's in a much better place. That's how I look at it, and it's fine. So, it hurts. It still sucks. We all know it, because we've all been there, right? We've all been there. But, in the words of Skywalker, even though it's from a film I don't really particularly like, Last Jedi, no one's ever really gone. Okay,
that's true.
Just
as long as they're in your heart and your memory, they're still there.
Yeah, so let's just try to keep the positives of these friends and loved ones in mind, folks, as you're going through what is it called, the 7 stages, I believe, of grief. It's very hard. It's very tough. Some of us in my family are still going through it, sadly, because it's been 4 months. But we'll get there. No, it's actually been. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. How many months are we in now? We're in July, right? So February, March, April, May, June, July. Yeah, it's been 6 months now. Gosh, man. Time's flying. Where's the time gone? I have no idea. But you know what idea I do have, and it's simply this: you are watching or listening to this incredible Eat Your Hollywood Story type episode of, and I quote, with Barb Kaalberg, our guest of honor from SilverLine Comics and the writer and inker of Divinity. So please don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. And if you have any questions for Barb, not me, because I'm not the star here, Barb is, please let us know in the comments in the chat. And if you're watching us live on the replay, we, excuse me, thank you for being with us. Fribbled says, hiya, just stopping by. Well, it's good to see you too. Fribbled, am I saying that right? Hope
Looks like it.
I think so. I'm not sure. If I'm mispronouncing someone's name, please correct me in the chat if you're able to. Just throwing that out there as a for instance. Now,
for those of you who don't know who I am, I mean, there's anybody new that has never heard of me, which is probably 99% of you. I've been a comic book inker for 35 years. I broke in 1989 with Eternity Comics, then went to Adventure Comics, Malibu, DC, Marvel, Innovation, Now, Warp Graphics, Image, Dark Horse. Anyway, all of them. And about 5 years ago, when I turned 60, I also started writing and coloring. So I decided I wanted to push the envelope and teach myself some new stuff because before I got much older. And it's been really amazing because it's brought a whole fresh new spin on my comics career. I mean, I could have just sat there and inked for the rest of my life, but I wanted to be uncomfortable. I am uncomfortable.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with teaching a person, I was going to say something else that wouldn't go over well, some new tricks, so some new skills. So there's nothing wrong with that. Sorry, I was going for a line there, but I didn't want to say it.
You're never too old. You're never too old to learn new skills, and it keeps you young, keeps you plugging along.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. My body says otherwise, but I still feel like I'm 21, even though I'm far from it. Sorry, folks.
Oh, when I dream, I'm still in my 20s.
Yeah, we can dream, can't we? I think that's illegal. Isn't that legal in America? Yeah, it's legal. Anyway, I do want, if you don't mind, I do like to cut right to the chase here because we've been talking about it and we've been beating around the bush a little bit, but let's cut right to the chase.
Okay.
Divinity #4. Now, this is one of the illustrations, one of the covers here. So what exactly is going down in Divinity #4 with this campaign going on right now?
Well, for those who've followed along Divinity 1 through 3, you will know that Divinity is in the hands of the evil Mr. Pinter. He's not, it sounds like he's two-dimensional, but he's really not. He was supposed to suss out whether or not this little girl actually did have the ability to heal for his employers, the Cabal, the Table of Five. Not only did he find out that she could heal, but he decided that he was going to pull a fast one on the Table of Five and keep her for himself. And he wants to pimp out her abilities to the highest bidder. So she's in his hands, and her half-brother, Zach, and Zach's previous co-worker from the Marines, Corporal Olivia Barnes, they are going to mount a rescue mission during this particular issue, and we'll have to see if it works or not. And as you can probably guess, just by looking at the cover, things don't go smoothly.
Yeah, it's kind
of a dead giveaway.
Yeah, well, that's one way of putting it. Well done with the puns, by the way. Yeah, something very deadly and serious is going on, and Divinity's like, just they're not happy right now, or they're angry. She's upset. The guy's upset, clearly, because his heart or whatever else is sticking out of his chest. So yeah, not for the faint of heart, as it were.
Well, I try to keep it PG-13. I
Yeah.
don't have anything in my comic book that you wouldn't see on primetime television. So
Right.
no, I probably wouldn't have a child under 10 or 11 read the book. But I mean, any kid who's watched primetime TV or, you know, any action TV shows is going to pretty much see a lot of blood and
Yeah.
shooting and some violence and stuff like that. And that's pretty typical of what you'll find in my books, but I don't go horribly graphic. No intestines.
Ah, there you go. Makes a lot of sense. Rated PG-13. Parental guidance suggested for children under 13. Sorry, I didn't
Yep.
mean to sound like a weird version of the trailer guy there for a second. Sorry. Grew up on watching movie trailers. What are you going to do? Yasi says, I apologize, but I have one more. Listen, don't apologize.
No,
First of all,
no
never say
problem.
I'm sorry for having questions. Never say I'm sorry for having questions. She says, I'm sorry, I have one more question, though. Healing is mostly considered a positive theme, but divinity is haunted by this particular power. Why this pessimistic take on healing power? But I love it, by the way, she says.
The pessimism comes from the fact that people want to use her. The healing itself is beneficial, and she wants to help people. But the fact is that think about what this kind of power could mean to you. It could be either a gift or a curse. If the whole world finds out that you can heal, they would be lined up around the block. They'd be breaking your door down. You wouldn't be able to walk out your front door. You would be just absolutely mobbed. You wouldn't have a private life anymore. Every government in the world, every despot, every dictator, every sick millionaire or billionaire who can afford to hire mercenaries would want to get a hold of you. Science think tanks, secret government black sites would want to dissect her brain. Every whack job looking for cash, or how about big pharma? They wouldn't want her to heal. They would want to kill her. And then there's religious fanatics who would either say that she's the second coming or she's the Antichrist, you know? So yeah, there could be a lot of downsides to this, and they're trying to keep it on the down low, that she can do this because they don't want this exact thing. They know that there's somebody after her that want to use her to get a hold of her so that they can use her to shape the world to their own ends by curing some people and maybe harming others. We have found out in issue number 2, was it? That she does have some defensive capabilities with that too. And we're going to explore whether that defensive capabilities can what it does to her psyche to be able to use it as a defensive weapon, as well as a gift to heal. So if you would think about it logically, it can be a two-edged sword. So
You're right. It very well could be. And then she goes on to say, but it goes back to commercializing everything again. Question mark, smiley face.
yeah, especially if they get a hold of her. She just wants to live her life and do her own thing, but that's not going to be possible because too many people know that what she can do. The general public, not so much, but people that she doesn't want to know already know, because her next door neighbor in issue 1 sold her out because he's a little weasel. And so her quiet little world has been shattered. She's only 11, you know, and this is overwhelming for her. I don't know if anybody out there watching this right now has got tweens, especially tween girls. It's horrifying.
Oh boy.
it's a horrifying experience. You're so hormone ridden and you're so angsty when you're 11 or 10 or 11, 12. Half the time you revert to your childhood and half the time you're 40. You know, they're on this cusp between adulthood and childhood, and they're severely conflicted. So she's having a tough time dealing with this, dealing with her parents' death, dealing with her a half brother who's 13 years older than her, and that she barely knows, and they have to learn how to become a family. And him and Olivia, his friend Olivia, and Vinny are beginning to create their own little found family, basically, as they're on the run. And they have to overcome all kinds of sometimes minuscule crap, like what's she going to do for schooling, you know? And how are they going to get money while they're on the run? Because they drain their bank accounts and everything. So it's all these little questions too, that how do they stay under the radar? One of the things that I chosen to do to keep them under the radar is all the cars that they're going to use are going to be older models, because they can't, cars these days, they're all low jacked, you know? So all the cars that they're going to use throughout the entire series will be old models. Right now they're driving I think it's a 1957 Chevy pickup. And
Really?
in a future issue, you'll see them in a station wagon, you know. So
Okay. Next thing you know, they'll be driving an Impala like Sam and Dean did for 15 years in Supernatural.
maybe I'll toss it in there just as a little shout out,
wink,
because I'm a
little-
huge fan of Supernatural.
Yeah, a little wink and a nod to "Carry on my wayward
Mhm.
son." Come on, who doesn't like a good old fashioned Kansas song? Come on,
That's right.
it's good stuff. It's on my, it's actually on one of my mixtapes, by the
Oh,
way.
I saw him in person.
You did? You saw Kansas in person?
Hmm.
No kidding. What was that like? Was that a great concert experience back in the day?
Oh yeah. I saw him in Cedar Rapids, Iowa,
Really?
at the Civic Auditorium.
Wow. Is that your favorite song by them, or do you have another favorite song by
Yes.
Kansas?
No, that's my favorite.
That's
of
the
theirs.
favorite. Okay. It's been used so many times in pop culture media. It really
Mhm.
has. Not just Supernatural, but other forms of movies and TV series have used that song over the years. Whoa, someone's popular on their phone. I know that song too. That's called Immigrant Song, but we're not here
That's
to...
right. That
I
is
know
right.
that one. The only reason I know what that song is because it was featured in a film called Thor Ragnarok. So that's the only reason I know what it is. Maybe I've heard it in the years past before Thor Ragnarok came out, but when that trailer hits and you hear that song and he's just bashing everybody around, I'm thinking, ooh, this is a good way to sell a Thor movie. And then I saw the movie and I was like, ugh, that's not a good movie. Sorry. Ragnarok didn't work. Not for me anyway.
No, it did not work for me either. I did not like.
Did not work.
I did not like.
Too much comedy.
Yes.
Huge problem.
Yes, it was
Huge
slapstick.
problem.
Too much
Yeah.
slapstick and
It was like a buddy cop film. It didn't make any sense.
And it made him a fool. It turned Thor into a fool, and I did not like that.
No.
So
I don't. No. Did you even, just out of curiosity, for argument's sake, because I want to keep the train on Divinity here, even though we've gone way off the rails multiple times. But did you see Thor: Love and Thunder?
yes,
Was it any better, or did it make it worse?
it was worse.
It was worse.
It
Even
was
the
worse.
what was it called? The Russell Crowe flick scene. That didn't work.
No.
No. Okay. Sorry.
No.
So, because it was heavily marketed in the trailer, so And then, and by the way, this is the thing I don't like about trailers. They give away everything now. It's horrible. They give away the whole gosh darn movie. I don't like it.
It was. I can't pronounce his name. Takei.
Oh, you mean Taika Waititi? Taika Waititi. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I get that he's an
He's a big
entertaining
name.
director and everything like that, but he was not the right person to do a superhero movie. He was trying to get too much slapstick and humor in there, and a little bit is good. A lot is defeating the purpose of the movie.
Yeah, I'm not. It's just, I can't speak to Thor: Love and Thunder's quality because I decided not to see it because I was so disappointed in the last Thor movie with concern the MCU. But by the way, I'm just curious though, if we don't mind. And by the way, some people, let's see, Yossi says, Barb, you have created a wonderful character, so unique and modern.
Thank you. I think so.
Heart emoji.
Yep, I've gotten a lot of comments on it that it's a fresh take, and that's the good thing about independent comics is that, and I don't mean to diss DC and Marvel here because they employed me, years ago, and they were, especially DC, they were very good to me, but their stuff is becoming so tired and worn out, and like they just canceled Iron Man, the book Iron Man, and I'm like, no, that's the one book I still collected. But my theory is in 6 months it'll be back, it'll be retroed and it'll be changed around, and who knows what he'll pop up as next, but they'll bring him back. But it'll be, again, it's like, oh God, they're gonna relaunch another book that they've already relaunched everything 2 or 3 times. I mean, how many times can you do this? And what indie comics brings to you is really fresh takes, stories that aren't looked over by the bean counters in a corporate system like Disney or DC or Marvel. You know, they've got to answer to higher ups, whereas in indie comics, you can do pretty much what you want. Yes, your audience might not like what you do, but that's for them to decide, you know, not the corporate bean counters. So this is where you're getting your interesting and your offbeat and your wonderful new ideas is all in indie comics, as far as I'm concerned. I think indies are the wave of the future.
She's right, you know. Anyway, there's your Morgan Freeman meme for the day. She's right, you know. Anyway, by the way, Fribbled said some earlier, me recognizing the Immigrant Song. Good one, Ryan! Exclamation point. Thanks, Fribbled. Appreciate you. And then Yasi goes on to say, the art of trailer making is gone today. It's commercialized. Laugh out loud emoji. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It is. And by the way, trailers give away the whole movie. So what's the point of even going to a theater and watching a 3-hour movie that you know they're giving away all of it in the trailer? Now, I will say, there is, what do you call it? A caveat or a backwards thing here. So I don't know if you've seen this or not, but I gotta say, for me personally, the MCU died with Endgame. It was over with Endgame. But there was a trailer that dropped this week that I was completely mind blown, because it looks like they're going back to the roots, going back to where greatness was back in the early 2010s of the MCU. Captain America Brave New World trailer dropped 2 days ago.
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay,
the trailer.
You.
Oh, wait a minute. Yesterday it was Sam Wilson.
Yes, as the new Captain
I did
America.
see that.
And Harrison Ford is Thunderbolt Ross, because unfortunately William Hurt is no longer with us. He passed away. Mm-hmm. So Harrison Ford is replacing him, and they do a little wink and a nod to him by saying, well, it was either lose the mustache or lose the election. He said that in the trailer. So I was like, William Hurt. We miss you, man. We miss you, William Hurt, because he was great in Civil War. I even liked it. Listen, a lot of people like this movie, and I don't care, but I love The Incredible Hulk with Ed Norton. I love that movie. I think that comic book movie is criminally underrated. But William Hurt was through all of it. Like, he was in Incredible Hulk. He shows up in Civil War, shows up in a few other Infinity War and Endgame. Like, you still have that through line. You know?
Yeah, and he made a really, really great
Thunderbolt Ross. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that gray area type of character where you can't figure out if you're going to like him or hate him, you know, and because he's got some good points, and then on the other hand, he's an asshole. So, you know, he's really good at playing that character on the knife's edge.
But so you have seen this trailer, Captain America: Brave New World. That trailer it's like the MCU listened to my phone calls. They answered my emails, my messages, everything else. They're like, Ryan, we're going to take out the jokiness. We're going to go back to taking it seriously, make it dark, make it gritty, with a little bit of fun in there. Don't get me wrong. There's still going to be a little bit of fun in there, but we're going to keep it very serious. And I'm like, yes, this is the MCU that I want. So you can have fun. You can have levity in any kind of movie. Doesn't matter what genre it is, right, Barb? But you need to have a balance. You can't have too much salt and not enough pepper. Okay, if you give me comedy, that's salt, but you give me drama, that's pepper. And I want a mixture of both. If not, I want more pepper in my recipe than salt. Okay, so as long as you do that, I'm golden.
I think the perfect example of that was Iron Man 1, because Robert Downey Jr. brought a lot of his own patter to it. You know, he improvised a lot, and it was just the right blend of angst and humor. So I like it when it's like that.
I agree. And if you're looking for a good entry point and learning more about comic book characters in general, Iron Man from 2008 is a great place to start. It's a great entry point. If you've never heard of the character, you're not familiar with Marvel, you're not familiar with any other comic book properties, Iron Man's a good entry point, I would venture to say, just for if you're, just if you want to get into Marvel. By the way, Yasi says Harrison Ford is POTUS again. I cannot wait. Neither can I. He was a great president in Air Force One. You remember that?
I do. Dick and I, we watch all those action adventure movies. I can't stand soap operas and I can't stand, art house films, but give me a good action adventure. Give me a Liam Neeson and you know, Tom
Harrison
Cruise or Brian
Harrison Ford.
Reynolds or Harrison
Yeah.
Ford. Yeah, I'm there. I'm there.
Beautiful. That's great. Well, I'm
I'm a
glad
total
you.
geek girl.
No, it's fine with me, but I'm glad you were able to see the Captain America Brave New World trailer because that thing is blowing up the interwebs. Everyone's raving about it. I'm excited. You get was it Harrison Ford is being the president, being Thunderbolt Ross. You also get Giancarlo Esposito is in there. I know him best as Moff Gideon from Mandalorian. Now he's going to play a villain in the MCU. I'm like, ooh, is he going to drop the line like he does on Star Wars where he says, "You have something I want"? Because we were talking about this the other day. My friends and I were talking about this. Like, well, what if Harrison Ford says, "Get out of my White House"? And Giancarlo Esposito walks up to Sam Wilson and says, "You have something I want." You know what I mean?
That would be awesome.
I'm like, dude,
Little
imagine
Easter
how many
eggs.
little in-jokes they can make to other properties without actually crossing the streams, Barb.
That's right. Because we all know what happens when you cross the streams.
Exactly. There is a slim chance we're going to survive. I love this plan. I'm excited to be a part of it. Let's do it. Sorry.
do it.
I love, it's funny, when you're
It's
a
my
kid
husband's favorite show.
Is it?
Movie. Mhm.
Favorite movie. Okay. Well, it's funny because years and years ago, that movie terrified me as a child. It terrified me. Very much so. Terrified me. Because of the terror dogs, and Gozer was very scary to me. But the terror dogs specifically were very scary, right? But years and years later, when you're an adult and you're mature and your tastes grow and you get more and more into film, like being a cinephile such as myself, because I love movies and I've loved them since I was 3 or 4, Barb. No, there's no question. I've come to appreciate how funny and how quick that movie is. It's just great. It's one of the best comedies ever made, period.
Well, it's the comedy timing is impeccable.
It's great because the first 45 minutes of the movie, I can't help myself but laugh at everything that's happening. From them going into the library, right? Finding the first ghost, quote unquote. And then you go into business together, right? You're in the firehouse, you're eating your dinner, and all of a sudden, we got one. And then, they're driving off in the Ecto
Bill Murray has perfect comedic timing.
Mm-hmm. You're right. No human being could stack books this high. I'm sorry. That was a line from the first 10 minutes. You know what, Egon? This reminds me at the time you tried to drill a hole in your head. That wouldn't have worked if you hadn't stopped me.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I remember. Yeah, no, that's my husband's favorite movie. We got to watch it all the time.
It's great. It's beautiful. You know what my favorite thing about that is, Barb? My favorite scene is the that's a big Twinkie. The Twinkie scene is 45 seconds of just pure joy for me, because he's telling the story about the Twinkie. And then when Venkman comes down after talking to that guy from the EPA, Walter Peck, if you will.
Yes. And he's the mayor in the last movie.
Oh, I didn't. Okay. All right. Minor spoiler because I haven't seen Frozen Empire yet, but thanks for telling me. That's fine. It's fine. It's a minor thing. It's not a big deal.
It's a very minor thing.
But he walks downstairs and then Winston looks at him and says, "Tell him about the Twinkie." What about the Twinkie? It's just, come on. It's genius. It's great. I love it. If you haven't seen it in a while, go ahead and revisit it. For someone who may be watching or listening to this episode of And I Quote, feel free to do so. But once again, we are here with the guest of honor, Barb Kaalberg of SilverLine Comics, talking about Divinity #4 that's currently in progress of being funded with its online campaign. Don't forget to like and share this with all your closest friends. If you have any questions or comments about how great Barb is and the great work that she's putting in and how much she's a fan of Ghostbusters, please, by all means, celebrate that in the greatness that is comments or live chat down below. And if you're joining us live or what is known as a replay, we thank you so much for being with us. So, with that being said, we've talked about Divinity #4. So how is the campaign going thus far? Has this thing been fully funded yet? Are we 50% of the way home? How's it going?
It's 50. Well, last time I looked at it anyway, it was 51% done. And I have about 3 weeks left. I have about 3 weeks left to close it out. And so any help that I could get would be greatly appreciated. Even if you don't feel like you can afford to contribute to the campaign, just by sharing the campaign on social media is a huge help. So jump in there and share it. You can find me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. I'm the only Barb Kaalberg on the internet for the most part. I have a sister-in-law that is also Barb Kaalberg. We're the only two in the world, but she's very rarely on the internet, and only on Facebook. So yeah, it's not hard to find me. 22 more days to go, and we are 51% funded. So please jump on or share.
And there's your elevator pitch for the day.
It is.
Brilliant. Brilliant, by the way. And yes, we have it here on the screen for you. And those of you who want to know more about it, the link is in fact located in the description below of this video, or this episode, I should say, of Anti Quote. So make sure you check that out there. Barb, it has been great seeing you. It's been great talking to you. Congratulations on this campaign and everything you and the crew over there at SilverLine Comics have been doing. Roland, give me a holler. Let's do some marketing, buddy. And let's get Roland on here too. We should get him and his crew on here again, because honestly, that's been a lot of fun. And by the way, for those of you who are in the SilverLine Comics family and you want to be on Anti Quote, all you got to do is reach out to me on any of our social media channels, which, by the way, just out of let everybody know, my name is in fact Ryan of Anti Quote Channel, since Barb brilliantly did her plugs without even me having to give her a cue, right? I didn't even have to give you a cue, Barb. You were right on the money there. So more power to you. We love you.
I've been doing a lot of podcasts. I have my own on Wednesday nights.
That's true. What time is that on Wednesdays? What time is that?
It's 8 Eastern on the SilverLine channel. I do the Wednesday night Wham, and then we also have Sunday night with Roland and Tuesday nights with TK. We do 3 podcasts a week, and I do the Wednesday ones.
Well, also Wednesday is also what is known as New Comic Book Day.
Yes.
So, which is a lot of fun to speak of. By the way, thanks. Wow. Thanks. Do you mean thanks a world or thanks? Okay, that's unique. But Yasi says, thanks a world. Lots of love to you. Well, Yasi, you're so kind.
Yeah.
She is. Absolutely. She's having a great time here. And I think she's going to go on your website, SilverLine Comics.
I hope so.
Buy some books, buy some comics, contribute to this campaign, and get yourself some SilverLine Comics with a bundle, by the way.
She's awesome, and she asked very good questions. So I was very pleased.
Well, she is I believe, Yasi, correct me if I'm wrong, aren't you a Master Jedi, or are you still a Jedi Knight studying for your finals to become a Master, to get your Master's degree? Just out of curiosity. Let me know in the chat, or let me know in the DMs privately, so you and I can... Speaking of Star Wars, if you want to contribute to that, Yasi, you're more than welcome to on Friday, 7 p.m. EST, is what is known as the Nerdy Cantina, where we discuss all things Star Wars, specifically Star Wars The Acolyte, which is causing quite a stir on the interwebs nowadays with that new series. Some people like it, some people may not. It's been very debatable. But hey, we're always here to have fun with it and present some positivity in a crazy mixed world that we're living in. So once again, Barb, you're great. We love you. I'm going to talk to you here in just a moment. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram personally, Ryan RPM5. Follow us across all forms of social media, simply at Anti Quote Channel, and all the links where you can find me and Barb Kaalberg and her colleagues over at SilverLine Comics are located in the description, including that crowd fund my comic campaign for Divinity number 4, because 3 comics are good, but 4 issues are even better. Plus 4 is an even number, so you know what that means, right, Barb? Fantastic 4 issues of Divinity. See, I just threw a little comic book reference there for you. You're welcome, by the way. Just throwing that out there. If you want some great looking merch, we have t-shirts, hoodies, we got stickers, we got coffee mugs, we have posters, we have throw pillows, stationery, all kinds of good things that are on sale right now in our Redbubble store. Links are in our social media bios and all that jazz. We are aiming for 5,000 subscribers before the year of 2024 is out. Help us get there, and when we do, we're going to throw a live stream. We're going to throw together a live stream celebration that will include special giveaways that you, our incredible viewers / subscribers, are going to be eligible to win. And please, by all means, visit our friends over there at SilverLineComics.com. And in the words of the immortal Roland Mann, make mine SilverLine. Don't forget to, I know Barb loves it, like, comment, share, subscribe, ring that bell to be notified of when our videos go up or they go live. And I quotes on Saturdays, movie watch-alongs on the weekends between Saturday and Sunday. And remember, life is better when supporting other indie creators and small businesses. Take a look.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Good morning. Oh, and in case I don't see you, Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.